Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show for the free show.
It's a very special pre-show before the free show. It's a very special day here at Texas Football Today. It is, of course, March 10th. It's National Ranch Day.
No kidding. Is it really?
It is National Ranch Day.
This needs to be celebrated.
I just texted Pickle that because as we know, she's a ranch fiend. Pickle's out today. She took a better job offer.
No, she didn't.
No?
She's still here.
Okay, sorry.
Don't scare the people like
we got
that.
our wires crossed.
Don't
okay?
scare the people
We got
like
our
that.
wires crossed. But thankfully, here to fill the void is Mallory Hartley. Hi. And also, because we just need some star power, Greg Power is going to be here for the whole show.
See, it took two of us to fulfill Pickle's
That's exactly
spot
right.
today.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like we need somebody to like run the controls. So like Mallory is non-negotiable. But then
You got to bring the vibes too.
we got to bring the vibes too. You know what I mean? And that's where you come in.
I'm happy to bring that.
The chief, the
Happy to
CVO, the
bring
chief
that
vibes
energy.
officer.
You and Pickle though, Mal, do have different vibes. You're both funny, but in different, unique ways.
I don't know that anybody. I mean, this is a high compliment. She's not a volume shooter, but I don't know that anybody in this office makes me laugh harder than Mallory Hartley. Like when she hits,
Right.
she is like.
It's all the layups that she misses that.
She misses a lot of layups, but then she'll pull up with a logo 3
Yeah.
and just like cash it, and I will laugh for days about it. Like,
yeah,
I
then
feel
when
like
I
I'm-
miss, I just hang my head.
yeah,
and I
there's a lot of air balls.
smile.
I want to be clear, a lot of air balls.
Yeah, I feel like I'm feeding her the ball in the block a lot.
Yeah. She's like, oh, it's over the backboard. But no, when she hits, some of the text messages she sent me have like, there have been times where I've been sitting on my couch, like with my wife, and like I will just start bursting out laughing, and she's like, what's going on? I said, it's a text that Mallory sent me. Like I mean that as a compliment. I hope you take it as a compliment.
No, I do, and
Okay.
it makes me laugh just thinking about it.
Let's do a quick weekend check. Quick weekend around. Do you have a good weekend, Powers?
Man, I had a great weekend. There was a lot of basketball watching going on.
Oh.
I'm starting to get into and Mal and I talked about this already, like at the breakfast time of the office greetings this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm getting into my March Madness zone. This is the time that I'm doing all my prep, my research. I'm diving back into the DVR. I'm watching games. I'm finding out about teams that I never would have found out about before. Like this is the week that I'm like in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's conference basketball tournament season, which is
It's exciting.
very exciting.
Good times.
Hank is very excited to fill out a bracket.
Oh, I bet.
He filled one out last year, and he thought it was so much fun when we would like go through who won, lost. He could highlight it in X amount. He thought that was awesome. And I told him this year, I was like, buddy, there are basketball games attached to this. He's like, really? Well, yeah. And then he asked if the Mavericks were going to be in the bracket,
No.
and I told him no. And then
They would not even be good enough to make the college
that
bracket
too.
team.
And then on Friday, we were driving somewhere, and we drove by the local high school we lived by, and the girls' soccer team was playing. And I said, hey, the girls' soccer team from the high school is playing. And he was like, oh, I didn't know they had a soccer team. He's like, oh, yeah, they've got a soccer team. They've got a baseball team. He knows they have a football team. They've got and he's like, do they have a basketball team? And I go, yeah. He goes, are they going to be in the bracket? And I was like, no, buddy, you got it surrounded.
You got to show them some of the teams that are going to be in the bracket this week.
Well,
that's on you.
Well, and honestly, what's going to be helpful is both my wife and I went to Missouri, and Missouri's pretty good. Missouri's going to be
the
probably
whole
like
SEC's awesome.
Yeah, Missouri's going to be like a 5 seed or
Scary.
so, like five, maybe a 6, between a 4 and a 6 seed. And so last year they were god awful, and so it was hard. It's hard to like attach.
They didn't win a single conference game
Yeah.
last year.
It's hard to attach or like get him attached and be like, no, like you can pick Missouri to go far. And I think will fire him up. A little bit.
I actually think that if there was somebody who I wanted on my side on a to break down the diagnostics of a bracket and the science behind who's going to win, it'd be Hank.
Hank has a very analytical mind.
I want to
Hank
make
did
it
pretty good. Didn't he do pretty well last year?
He did pretty well. Like I'm gonna enter his bracket into what I did was I entered his bracket into our office bracket challenge, and I finished like middle of the pack.
Hank, I want to form an alliance with you early. I want to set this in stone now. When you need somebody at Dave Campbell's, Greg Powers is here for you.
Yeah. Call a Greg and not your dad.
Call the other Greg.
Call the other Greg. Mallory, weekend check.
It was good.
Anything to report?
We swept Michigan yesterday.
Here comes Michigan State.
Well, we're on the March Madness talk anyways, so might as well just keep it rolling, right?
Didn't you guys get in a fight?
Yeah, because they wouldn't get off our logo for our seniors.
Here we go.
And
their fault.
This is big.
And they lost by 20.
Michigan does have this
and
big,
they're ranked.
This is such a Big Ten thing, too.
Michigan has this big plant your flag energy.
They sure do.
Okay, yeah.
See, and that's the thing that Powers and I can always relate on is because he's
who did Baker Mayfield?
Fan.
Who did Baker Mayfield play?
Yeah,
the
but
flag?
he's Baker.
Here we go.
But Baker Mayfield set the trend. If you do it after that, then you're just following. Like Baker Mayfield was the one who did it.
Yeah.
Anything after that,
I think is
lame.
I think
to me, that's me. It doesn't matter who it is.
This is a hot take, but I think that, especially like in sports where there's a lot of people trying to be like, "Oh, we're tough, big tough guys." A lot of sensitive, precious people playing these sports.
Well, there's a lot of mimicking.
Yeah.
Too. You know what I mean? Somebody does it, gets some shine on it, and then somebody else wants to go ahead and do that. Well, the second time somebody does something, it's not the same, except I'm going to make an exception. This is a big one. Touchdown celebrations. Touchdown celebrations, you get a pass. You're allowed to mimic those because it brings joy to everybody.
We will get to football here in a moment, but this is football adjacent. I think one of the smartest things the NFL did in recent years was basically take away the celebration penalty. As long as you're not, basically they said, like, here's the deal. You guys can do whatever you want, but you got to, like, it can't go on too long. Like, they basically, you got about 10 seconds to do whatever you want, and you can't be taunting. Like, you can't go, like, do something, vulgar, obviously, but, like, you can't taunt the other team. And I think that has, like to me, that's helped grow personalities within the sport.
I'm ready to see it in college ball.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see it more in college ball, and it probably will happen because it's a more professionalized league now. I'm fine with it being out of high school sports.
I agree.
And in high school sports, I think that you're trying to teach something a little bit different to youths that are coming up or student athletes who are coming up. So I get the differences there, so I'm fine for it being out of high school sports. But I enjoy a good celebration. The one where I can't remember it, but our friend Corey Hogue wrote a good article about it where he was sliding on his head.
Yeah, he stood on his head. He did like a straight up headstand, and it's got a name or something, but it's not like the headstand. It was like
man, I tried it and I remember.
You
tried it?
You're the gymnast here.
I know.
If anybody could have done it.
Yeah. Mallory.
Well, here's the thing. I tried it with
Wilkerson.
Yeah.
I tried it with a helmet on. A Dave Campbell's helmet, so maybe that's why I couldn't do it.
Yeah, maybe just a little
the helmet was too big for my head.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Anyway, there's your weekend around. Hit the theme expo. Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a program on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, maybe, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. It's the co-host of Dave Campbell's Rising, the co-host of Women Talking Football, is our friend Mallory Hartley. I can't think of another backup quarterback. Greg Powers, name a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Ooh, Jarrett Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham. It's Mallory Hartley.
Ooh,
You are Jarrett Stidham. Stephenville.
He's been a great backup in the NFL.
He's been
He's been so good that he usually doesn't have to play because the best job a backup can do is that
Is hold the clipboard.
The starter doesn't get hurt.
Absolutely. Those other dulcet tones you hear belong to Greg Powers, our director of recruiting, who's going to be our my sidekick today.
Man,
You are, yeah, my wingman. I appreciate
I'm
that.
your goose. I'm Goose to Maverick today.
What does that make Mallory?
Ooh, I don't know any other characters' names from
What was the
Iceman.
Wait, Iceman. Yeah, what was the bad guy's name? Yeah, it's Iceman.
You got to be Iceman.
Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025, 262 days to Thanksgiving. Big day today. Happy birthday to our friend Kimmy Gooding.
Woo!
She turns a really frustratingly young age. And happy birthday to our non-FBS insider, Corey Hogue. It's a double birthday day.
Not so young.
It sure is.
Okay. Well, you didn't have to call. Not as
young as Kimmy.
That is true. That is factually correct.
I
think you're young, Corey. Happy birthday, buddy. It is episode 1841. On today's show, folks, we got headlines from across the state, including a couple of state champion programs have hired new coaches. We will talk about that. And then back half the show, Greg Powers will join us. And by join us, I mean he's still going to be sitting here.
That's when I get to be Maverick.
For This Week in Recruiting, the latest news and notes from the recruiting trail across the state of Texas. So stick around with us if you dare. Do we have first four through the door, Malpal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got.
Yeah, maybe.
We sure do. Jersey number 69.
Nice.
Matt Stepp. Big.
What was that? Wait, could you say that last one again?
BJWB.
BJWB. Welcome in, fellas.
All right, jerks.
Just makes me laugh every time.
Welcome in, friends. We do appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. Alrighty, let's get to some headlines from across the state of Texas. We will start in the coaching ranks, and we will start with a pretty major coaching hire within Central Texas, and that is that Mart has been looking for a head coach for a couple of weeks now. If you remember, Kevin Hoffman announced his retirement at the end of last season after a spectacular career leading the Panthers. After a thorough search, the Mart ISD has recommended that it will be Chris Lancaster to be the next head coach there of the Mart Panthers. Chris Lancaster is the head coach at Robinson right now. This is a guy. I'll just say it. I think this is a home run hire for Mart. It's a guy who understands Central Texas. He's had success everywhere he's been because before, if you remember, before he was at Robinson, where he went 13-8 over 2 seasons, he was the head coach at Little River Academy and did fantastic work with the Swole Bees, with the Bumblebees. He was spectacular there. Everywhere he's been, Chris Lancaster rather has been a winner. And I think that is going to translate there to Mart. Obviously, this is interesting because this is an external hire. Mart has not had an external hire, quote unquote, in quite some time. But if you're going to do it, you need a guy who understands the Mart ecosystem and the Mart community. And Chris Lancaster at Robinson is a guy who's spent a lot of time in Central Texas and done spectacular work there. I think this is a home run hire for Mart. I think this is absolutely spectacular and a big win there for Mart. Chris Lancaster is going to be the next head coach of the Mart Panthers. Elsewhere, let's go to New Caney. And this was one that was floating around in the ether for a while. This was one of those jobs or one of those rumors that kind of wouldn't go away. New Caney has been looking for a new head coach for quite some time. And they have landed on Galveston Ball head coach Sheldon Benight to be their next head coach, making the move from Galveston there to New Caney. This makes a lot of sense to me. Sheldon Benight has been a guy who's done spectacular work, I think, at Galveston Ball. I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, oh, well, yeah, of course he did. He did it with Jonah Williams. They were a lot more than just Jonah Williams. That was a quality program that he went there. And so Sheldon Benight is going to be the new head coach there at New Caney. This is a guy who we started hearing rumblings about this hire when the job kind of opened up, and over the past couple of weeks, it's gotten louder and louder. He went 34-20 there at Ball, led them to the area playoffs. Mike DeWitt left New Caney to go take over at Saginaw, leaving open New Caney, and so now it's going to be Sheldon Benight there, which does open up a job. He does have a lot of history there in the Houston area. He was there at Galena Park North Shore. He was at Dickinson. He was actually a part of the state runner-up team at Marshall in 2004. He takes over a New Caney program that I think is in a tough district, but I think he is the right guy for the job. And Sheldon Benight is going to be the next head coach there at New Caney, which leaves open, by the way, a really interesting job at Galveston Ball. So we will be tracking that now after this. Now, let's go to Brownwood. Let's talk about Brownwood. This has been something we've been talking about a lot with kind of the, let's say, rigmarole in Brownwood. With Sammy Burnett being non-renewed, he then tenders his resignation and leaves. Or rather, he didn't have his contract extended. He then tenders his resignation and leaves. Brownwood goes into the search. They end up hiring. This is a really interesting match here. Gerald Brixey. Gerald Brixey is going to be the next head coach at Brownwood. Gerald Brixey is the Katy offensive coordinator. He is a guy who has been on the staff there at Katy under Gary Joseph since 2012. Been a part of 3 state championship teams, 2012, 2015, and 2020. And he was also the offensive line coach there for a little bit. Before that, he was an assistant coach at Galena Park North Shore. He was the head coach. Joseph had coaching experience. He was head coach at Comanche for 5 years back in the earlier part of the late part of the last decade. This is a really interesting mix of 2 really proud programs and 2 high-profile programs, Katy to Brownwood. So one of the things that I think is interesting is the spotlight is not going to be too big, I think, for Gerald Brixey. Here's a guy who's used to being in the Katy spotlight. And there are a few spotlights in Texas brighter than the Katy spotlight. So I'm very interested to see how he goes there. Now, Matt Stepp mentions in his piece, and I agree with him, a big part of his job is just kind of bringing this community back together. Because I think that the way that the Sammy Burnett era ended in Brownwood, I think has done some fracturing within the community. It's going to be up to Gerald Brixey to kind of bring this community together. Now, look, nothing brings a community together like winning. So if you go out there and win, you're going to go out there and probably be pretty darn good, and the community will take care of itself. What is also going to be interesting is how much of that Katy offense ports over to Brownwood. Of course, Katy, when you think about them, you think about single back or 2-back, kind of pro style offense, a lot of running game, and then a lot of play action off of that running game. Will they kind of port that over? Fascinating to see, but Gerald Brixey is going to be the next head coach there at Brownwood, there as one of the highest profile jobs in Texas, lands their guy in Gerald Brixey, the offensive coordinator from Katy. Elsewhere, let's go back down to the Houston area and talk about Klein. The Klein Bearcats are now looking for a head coach, and that is because they've lost their head coach to the college ranks. And that is that longtime Klein high school head coach, Shane Hallmark, or rather the former Klein high school head coach, Shane Hallmark, is going to be he's been at the head coach there at Klein for the last 15 years, done good work there. He is now going to be the defensive coordinator at Schreiner. The Schreiner is a school that is launching their football program, and he's going to be their next defensive coordinator. Fascinating to see. Keith Allen's going to be their next head coach, starting a Division III program kind of from scratch. His defensive coordinator is going to have big high school ties in Keith Allen, or rather the Shane Hallmark. Their defense going to become their defensive coordinator, leaving Klein to become their defensive coordinator there at Schreiner. That leaves open a big job there in the Houston area. Excited to see where they go with that. This is a guy who also led Fort Bend Hightower to the 2009 5A Division I or 5A state championship game. So a guy with big time pedigree, going to become the next defensive coordinator there at Schreiner. Finally, in the coaching ranks, let's talk about center, the Rough Riders. Routinely one of the highest scoring offenses in Texas high school football every single year, and they are going to stick with the offensive scheme, as Center has announced that Nick Brown is going to be their next head coach. Nick Brown is the Aubrey offensive coordinator, where he's done big work there, replacing Ricky Joe Meeks, who departed in February to go take over at Henderson. So now the head coach there at Center is going to be Aubrey offensive coordinator Nick Brown. He's an Aubrey native, but he spent the last 9 seasons there at his alma mater, and he's been their offensive coordinator for the past couple of years. And their offensive coordinator their offense has been humming there at Aubrey. I would expect the same to be happening there at Center. Keep an eye on that as Aubrey offensive coordinator Nick Brown is going to be the next head coach there at Center. Finally, I want to draw your attention to something on TexasFootball.com. It's a new story that our friend Carter Yates just wrote, and it is about a competing podcast. That's right. It's a high school football podcast. We don't like to promote other podcasts, but it's run by a gentleman named Caleb Maryland. Greg Powers, are you familiar with Caleb Maryland?
DCTF 3-star Caleb Maryland?
DCTF 3-star Caleb Maryland. The quarterback there at Galena Park North Shore has his own podcast called Player's Choice.
Love it.
In which he interviews other stars, mostly from the Houston area, and just talks ball with these guys. I listened to one of them. I think it's pretty good. I am a little frustrated with how good it is. I wish he'd stop. That's not true. The more the merrier.
You know what would be really funny?
What's that?
Is if, like, he just had, like, other media people on there. Mm-hmm. So, like, we interview players on our show, and then he interviews other media people. It'd be funny.
That would be very funny. Yeah, it'd be like, oh, it's just going to interview, like,
yeah,
Carter Yates.
Yeah.
I talked to Caleb about his podcast back at the Next Level camp in January, and I was like trying to talk my way onto it, and then realize it's for players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the straight Jesuit running back John Hebert on stuff like that, which he's 3,000 yard back. Yeah. Which that was a fun listen. So go listen to it. Caleb Maryland's podcast called Player's Choice down there, and we're not in the business of promoting other podcasts, but
well, he's found a couple of really good sleepers that he's interviewed already. Hebert being one, and Zaquan Nunn.
Is he coming for our jobs?
Literally.
Hey, ball knows ball.
Yeah,
ball knows
exactly
ball.
Right. Anyway, there's some headlines from across the state of Texas. We're at Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. I hope you'll consider going to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. We are hard at work on the 2025 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We will mail it to you before it hits newsstands and get a year of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, streaming thousands of live events from across the state of Texas on your device at TexanLive.com. All part of your Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscription. Makes a great gift as well. Go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Also, normally we're on Mondays and Thursdays. I mentioned that in my most recent read. We will not have a show Thursday, but we will have a show Friday. The reason we're having a show Friday is that Friday is Dave Campbell's 100th birthday. And we are going to be celebrating it in style here on Texas Football Today. We're calling it Dave Day around here. We're going to be celebrating the life and times and legacy of Dave Campbell, our founder and editor-in-chief. So make sure you stick around with us on Friday. Friday at noon, it'll be TFT. We're moving from Thursday to Friday so that we can honor Dave with his 100th birthday. So stick around for that. Coming up here in just a moment, Greg Powers finally pipes up. But first, a word from these value partners.
Hi. I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10, touchdown!
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Back here on Texas Football Today, thanks for spending part of your Monday with us. Greg Tepper, Mallory Hartley with you. Pleased to be joined at the desk by Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Hi, Greg Powers.
What's up?
Try again.
Howdy.
His mic was on. I don't know.
Maybe it's him.
It's just.
We had a lot to get to because I know that it's been now a couple weeks since the debut of Dave Campbell's Rising, and so that means we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
pent up, right?
It's recruiting season. Every day is recruiting season.
Every day is recruiting season. Let's not waste any more time. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. This is This Week in Recruiting. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScouts. He has fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express. Can I tell you, as the most bougie thing I did last week was I had Chicken Express delivered to the office for lunch.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Taste the freshness.
Powers, your mic is being weird.
No, I could absolutely taste the freshness. And, there's something about, because I always have them drop the box off at the door. And there's something about getting that alert and be like, hey, because delivery systems or delivery things, they'll send you a photo of it outside. There's nothing, that is a photo that I cherish, is when that photo comes in. It's like, oh, there's the yellow box sitting outside for you.
I have the Chicken Express commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the website pulled up here. Can't see it at home.
Try that now.
Can't see it at home.
Can you mess with your mic?
We might have to do some technical stuff here on the Greg Powers, tell me about what you're watching.
We're watching Chicken Express.
There we
The
go.
website is amazing. The rolls dropping into the basket.
It's good stuff. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. A lot to get to. We're going to start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, we're going to North Forney to talk about their soon-to-be senior quarterback, Legend Bay. A guy that actually we talked recently with Marcus Shavers, the head coach there at North Forney, about him and what makes him special. And he was on fire this past week, picking up new offers from A&M and Georgia. He's already got offers from places like SMU, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Legend Bay is blowing up there at North Forney.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Legend Bay is one of those guys who, Bay is just one of those guys who can do it in a multifaceted role, right? Like, he's a guy who rushed for 1,952 yards and 28 touchdowns last season, and he's been going off with national level offers, namely Georgia and Texas A&M this week. So huge offers there for Legend Bay coming in from all over the country. It'll be interesting to see what he does in his recruitment now, because I'm listening to him as a QB athlete. He wants to play quarterback at the next level. But some of these bigger schools are offering him as an athlete. So he has a tough decision to make as his recruitment clock is ticking as the spring official visit tours are coming up, about what he wants to do. Will he be a quarterback, or will he possibly play wide receiver or running back? The ball's kind of in his court. Some of these big schools have said, hey, we'll recruit you as an athlete, give you a shot at doing that first and see how it works out. But Bay, obviously talented, can do anything he wants on the football field. And, teams in that district got a chance to see it last year firsthand because he made a huge impact in Marcus Shavers' first year at North Forney.
Yeah, Marcus Shavers, when we talked to him at the THSCA Leadership Summit, he was going on and on about what he brings to the table and what a dynamic player he is. He is getting noticed on the biggest stages there. Legend Bay, our prospect on the rise here. Let's get to our commit of the week. And I'm putting commit of the week in quotations, because our commit of the week is Honeygrove 2026 running back Rylan Morris. There were no new commitments this past week, but there were, in fact, this is a guy who was he committed before the 2024 season, and we want to make sure we spotlight him because he shined at the Under Armour Next Camp in DFW, was absolutely crazy. The Baylor commit has been an absolute rock star there for Honeygrove, and entering a senior season, wouldn't be a surprise to see him continue to get pursued by a number of big name programs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The 5'9", 170-pounder has been committed to Baylor for a while, but I just felt like we needed to shine more spotlight on his commitment because at the time that he committed, it was like the end of July, and I feel like we were at THSCA or coming back from THSCA, so I just don't feel like this commitment got its due. At least we didn't get a cover in the way that I really wanted, or shine the spotlight on it in a way that I thought was really proper for Rylan Morris, for Honeygrove, and for Baylor, because this is a huge get. This is a huge commitment for the Bears. He was uncoverable at the UA Next Camp. He's a guy that he's just so good as a receiver that it's just not fair for linebackers to try to match up for him. And he's a great football player who's been called to go in on both sides of the ball there at Honeygrove and be the guy, right? Like, he's the best player on defense, he's the best player on offense, and his tape pops because he's dominant.
Rylan Morris there at Honeygrove he's electrifying, plain and simple, and one of those guys there in that small school ranks that I think you might take for granted, but this guy has been absolutely spectacular all year long, and it's now a Baylor commit since the beginning of the season, and figures to be electrifying once he gets to Waco.
Baylor's got some dogs in the class of 2026.
Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week, or rather our underclassman of the week. Our underclassman of the week is Sheldon C.E. King 2028 wide receiver Dylan Mitchell. I want to talk about something that went a little viral this weekend, which was that it was the Blue Bonnet Invitational, which is one of the first big track meets of the season. Track season is starting to get going. And there was a 100-meter dash that went viral. And now Dylan Mitchell came in third, which is pretty impressive because he was behind, he was behind Braden Williams of Duncanville and behind Richard Lee of Dickinson, two very fast guys. I believe both seniors, too. This guy now just entering his sophomore season, right? Yeah, he will be entering his sophomore season. Here's the thing, though. Dylan Mitchell ran a 10.29 and came in third place in this.
Wild.
He is a name to know moving forward, not just because of what he does in the track, but also because of what he does on the field as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was a coming out party for Dylan Mitchell. He got 10 offers on Sunday. 10 offers on Sunday, and not just from these were from big time programs. Just here's a sampling of that list: Houston, Texas Tech, SMU, Florida, Georgia, Baylor, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Twitter's down right now. X is down. This morning, he posted 2 more offers, Arizona and Syracuse. So he's up to at least 12 offers following that 10.29 100-meter dash at the Blue Bonnet Festival. And this is a good chance to emphasize the importance of the multi-sport athleticism, and especially track as it relates to the football recruiting process. A great 100-meter time can make you a lot of money as a high school football player now. And I would encourage a lot of guys, if you're fast, to run track, because you're only going to get faster, and some of these times out here are going to earn you not only scholarship money but future NIL opportunities as well. And Dylan Mitchell definitely had his chance to sign. Now we're doing something else original as we talk about Dylan Mitchell. You're watching his sub-varsity tape where he absolutely dominated. We don't usually show sub-varsity tape, but I think it was important to show this one because as I've watched sub-varsity films over the last few years, I'm putting him up there with guys like Anthony Hill or DJ Hicks, who had this great freshman tape but didn't have a chance to go on the varsity team. Well, Dylan Mitchell will be one of C.E. King's top offensive weapons in 2025. And that freshman class at CE King is really special because you don't only have Mitchell. Texas Tech was one of his offers this weekend, but Texas Tech also made offers to Cameron Snyder and Oswald Jaquette III. They call him Trey. It goes by his nickname Trey over there at CE King. Tech also offered those two guys. So that 2028 class at CE King, we're going to be talking about it for a few years.
And here's the thing, because I'm looking at it right now. This is at A&M. They host the Blue Bonnet Invitational. And this was the final of the boys 100 meters, okay? Myson Johnson Cook, right? The burner from DeSoto ran a 10.33, and that was good enough for 5th place in this heat.
Freaking wild.
Elijah Clark, the running back from Westlake, who was really, really strong for them last year, helped them to a fantastic season. He ran a 10.46 and came in 8th in this heat. The winner, by the way, Braden Williams at Duncanville, ran a 9.99. Now people are gonna look at this and they're gonna say that there was wind behind it, and certainly, grain of salt. I don't care I don't care if there's a hurricane behind these guys. If you're running a sub 10 in March, different around here. Anyway, keep an eye on Dylan Mitchell, now entering his sophomore season there at CE King. He's Greg Powers, our director of recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScouts. He has fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Thanks, Powers. Don't say anything because your mic didn't work. Let's go over to Mallory Hartley, furiously trying to get these chords to work for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Sometimes I get very frustrated, but it's the cord. Okay, I think it's the cord. I haven't even looked at the comments yet.
Small correction, by the way. I have a small correction. Klein is not open. That's where Nick Caduti went. Nick Caduti went there. Shane Hallmark, I believe, had stepped down, and then he gets hired there at Schreiner. So there was a key distinction here. He's not leaving Klein. He technically stepped down and then took over there as defensive coordinator at Schreiner. They had hired Nick Caduti there from Fulshire. So there's a small correction from earlier. What else we got?
I do want to give a big shout out to Step and Ish and then all of the Texan Live crew that worked on state basketball the past 2 weeks. Everybody down there did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Trevor and Chase and all of our guys down there. Tommy hopped on a couple of calls as well, but really, really good production down there in San Antonio this weekend for boys state basketball.
Absolutely.
Social media looked great too.
It really did. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Remember, our show is on Friday this week. Our second show this week is on Friday to celebrate Dave Campbell's 100th birthday. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. For Greg Powers and Mallory Hartley, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you Friday. Texas Football Today.